You're being called to remember how to see the world as it was meant to be experienced through you. Your eyes and your eyes only. How to see life on earth through the lens of source. Not the lens of limitation, but instead the lens of pure awareness. Pure awareness being your unconditional love, your interconnectedness to all things. Because in every now moment, you're co-creating your experience with infinite fractals of the one expression. One consciousness meeting itself through infinite forms. That's the opportunity being you. That's the person being you. That's the location. You get to a point and you're arriving at a point, my love. You've arrived at a point where consciousness is not just localized to the body, but it's the very field that the body moves through. Today, we have a very exciting archetype I want to speak about. This is an octave that resides within you, and this is strength, the strength card. We're going to be talking all about the strength card, and in this deck, the strength, let me remove my light, is actually depicted as the orbs, which is a very powerful spiritual being. So I'm going to go ahead and read strength for you. So the one message or takeaway from this is that you don't always recognize the value of what it is that you're moving through until you look back. And there is a spiritual maturity that you've reached, and the maturation of that is remembering yourself as being non-physical and more non-physical than you are physical, okay? So the invitation is to begin to see it as it's happening, and that's something that you're actually able to do. That's something that you're anchoring. It's this high level of awareness that extends and branches far beyond the system as you're immersed within the system. So you're not escaping the world, but you're seeing through the illusion of separation very, very clearly. So the orbs, right? The orbs and the strength. The last time I really dived deep into this message, and it's circling back around again, was I can't remember exactly what it is, but I'll link it down below if anyone else remembers. I was in Templo de la Luna in Peru, and this message also came through. So it's this kind of archetype. We learn many things from the orbs. It talks about bravery and overcoming fear. So fear is a localized octave within us. It's not our all. We are the awareness behind the one that's actually fearing. So I'm seeing as like viewing Avatar from a third person perspective, right? So it's like you're even observing the narrator itself. I'm hearing how the narrator began narrating differently, knowing that it was being observed, and consciousness begins to behave very, very differently when it is being observed and it knows it's being observed. So I'm seeing a different kind of relationship that you're having to the vessel, where it almost feels comedic at this stage of your life. Anyway, we learn many things from the orbs that we cannot learn on Earth. They are wise souls who have lived many lives upon lives and no longer reincarnate into human form. They exist only in the spirit plane and know all there is to know. They are omnipresent and imbue lost souls with bravery and strength. While on the spirit plane, they teach us about things we hardly remember on Earth. The cosmic tree, life maps, karma, sacrifice, and past lives. They remind us of the maze and warn us of what comes after. The orbs can never interfere or change the path of fate. They can only shed light on what it is that you once knew. So this is returning back. I'm hearing navigating through the maze. The maze represents the labyrinth, and that also represents the temperance in this deck. And temperance is about dipping your toes in infinite potential in the non-physical while still being anchored into the physical plane. So it feels like this illusionary construct. It feels, I don't want to say, I guess broke the illusion, but it's like you've unveiled the illusion that anything is separate from you. And in that clear seeing, as you're looking at your life through the lens of the soul, there's just something that you can't unsee. It's like the human condition has lifted and the veil has broken. That's all I can say with this. It's like the veil has broken, right? When the orbs comes up in a reading, it's an explanation point and declares that you have the bravery, determination, and willpower to overcome any obstacles that may come your way. Fear can cripple a powerful mind, so shake the shroud and channel your fear into strength. Once you believe in yourself, you will find many future challenges suddenly conquerable. And that's why introspection becomes the foundation of everything. It becomes the foundation of liberation, because when we can go within and actually begin to observe our own fear, fear is an emotion, right? Let's just talk about this real quick. Fear is an emotion. What are emotions? Vibrations. That vibration has a very slow bandwidth. It's a very low bandwidth, which means it has a slow oscillation. It spins at a very, very slow rate. Now, when we embody that frequency, when the emotion of fear washes through us and we hold on to that and anchor onto it, well, our whole entire organism that's composed up of trillions of cells and now at this very slow bandwidth, and that actually paralyzes fear, paralyzes the organism. So it's about the inability to actually take action upon something, because we don't know how to actually transform our relationship to that fear. The moment that we can begin to observe and actually hold space for that emotion, not by rejecting it, not by trying to repress it or suppress it, but actually beginning to see, okay, I'm experiencing the full range of human emotion, but then I'm also not this emotion, or the thoughts that may be coming through in the dimensional plane of the frequency that's self-organized, that this emotion exists in, and everything else that occupies that plane, all the experiences that come with it, all the sensations that come with it, like the unregulated nervous system, going into fight or flight. It's a whole intricate system. I'm not even going to get into that, but it's okay, I'm the awareness behind this emotion. It's okay to feel scared. Now we're actually holding on to our vessel. We're realizing and recognizing it's the ego that actually feels these emotions. And we're going to talk more about that deeper and how to actually alchemize that. But it's not just a spiritual understanding. It's just coming back to the root of all understanding, which is that you understand yourself as a soul moving through the human experience. You understand that you are not just a human being having spiritual experiences, but you're a spiritual being literally having a human experience. And that is the mechanics of the spirit navigating the physical realm and all that the physical realm has to offer in the totality of this experience. And yes, that comes with certain emotions, and that is the two expressions of strength, right? So let's break this down further. We're going to talk about the higher expression of strength, the lower expression of strength, the relationship that we have with the ego, how we can actually become our own best friend, what does, and the lights out. Okay, the lights out. Again, something, it's like you are plugging back in right now. I'm going to leave this in. You are plugging something back in right now and it's being illuminated. It's like you are able to illuminate your own shadow, and yes, it can feel exposing but also wildly liberating, because you recognize that localized octave is not your whole. The lower octave is going to be all about identification. It's where we actually mistake ourselves with the role that you're currently playing. It's the identity, it's the story, it's the version of self that's actually moving through this moment. It's the one that sees the body as you, the thoughts as you, the emotions as you. So when something happens, you don't just experience it, but instead you become it. The fear becomes you, the doubt becomes you, the role becomes you, and from that place your perception is incredibly limited, right? You have this myopic lens or perception in how you see yourself and also your potential in the world. And so you see the world through that identity, through that fearful octave, through that frame of limitation, and you respond from it. But the higher octave of strength is remembrance. You recognize this is a vessel, your body is a vehicle, your mind is a vehicle, the emotions are bioelectrical charges moving through the system, and the soul is what's experiencing it all. Not separate from it and not confined by it either. The soul isn't separate from the lion, it's expressing through it. The lion is a vehicle, the instinct, the body, and the emotional current. And strength is the moment that they're no longer in conflict. You begin to see that this entire reality is a space for the soul to experience the physical, including sensation, emotion, and intensity, and nothing that arises is outside of that. Can you experience the paradox, the walking paradox that you are, to be fully immersed in the sensation while simultaneously experiencing yourself as the void? That's where your liberation lies, in being able to become the paradox, because the observer stands at the center of this process, not separate from the experience, but as its organizing intelligence. Hermetic laws express itself here, as within, so without. As perception stabilizes, the internal field harmonizes, and the external expression follows that order. Acknowledgement becomes the catalyst. Let's use work and uncertainty as an example. Let's say you perceive that you've missed an opportunity of some kind, but from a soul perspective, you're actually being redirected. And so the lower octave is that you feel fear, and immediately you become the story. This is going wrong, I'm not safe. Yet the higher octave is that you feel the same surge, the contraction and the thoughts, and instead of identifying with it, you begin to observe those thoughts of, I'm not safe, or this is going wrong. You recognize the emotion as energy moving through the body, and you allow it to be there without trying to fix it. There is a part of you that can hold the feeling without judgment and says, it's okay to feel this. The lion is no longer running, it's allowing itself to be held. And as the emotion moves, you begin to see clearly. You see the thought patterns without becoming them. And what reveals itself is that the fear is actually older than this moment. It's ancestral, patterned, and encoded. And then once the charge softens, you bring awareness to it. You say, well, this isn't personal, this is a redirection. This loss doesn't determine my worth. That rejection is protection and redirection. The energy then reorganizes. The lion is no longer reacting, instead it's being guided. And within it, there's an opportunity to make peace with the unknown, to trust yourself without external certainty, and to hold that awareness. And as you hold that awareness, the charge begins to shift. It softens. And the situation itself begins to feel lighter, more open, and more malleable. Let's talk about relationships and triggers. Let's say you feel activated as somebody says something to you, or somebody does something, or maybe they don't do the thing that you want them to do. And you project it outwards of, you made me feel this way. Well, the higher octave on a soul expression is that strength grounds into the body. It feels the activation, but it sees it clearly. So before reacting, it holds that emotion or that trigger that arises. And you allow it to move through your body without assigning blame internally, it's my fault, or externally, it's their fault. See, the lion and the ego is not suppressed in that moment. Instead, it's contained. It says, it's okay to feel this way. No judgment, no projection. And as the charge settles, clarity begins to come online. Because from the law of one, there is no other here in this plane. This is you, meeting another version of yourself, a reflection within your own field. So instead of projecting, you begin to ask, what am I teaching myself through this version of me? And what am I being invited into here? And then you bring direction to the energy. Maybe it's to speak your truth. Maybe it's to set a boundary or to trust your voice. But the ego or lion is no longer reacting. It's moving with the intention that you've assigned. And strength remembers. This reality is a holographic projection of your internal state. And in that awareness, the dynamic simultaneously shifts. Let's move on to purpose and expansion. Let's say there's overwhelm and you feel this level of resistance in being able to move towards this goal. And so you interpret it as a sign of, well, let's stop here. I don't know what steps to take, so I'm going to take none at all. The higher octave is you'd feel resistance, but instead of pushing against it, you just hold on to that feeling of resistance. You let the discomfort exist without needing to escape it. The intensity is allowed. The lion is not avoided. Instead, it's met with sincerity, with compassion. And as you sit with it, the energy begins to change. It becomes information. You see the resistance for what it is. Energy activating at the edge of your known self. And then you bring awareness to it. This isn't a stop. This is an expansion, and that direction returns. You ask yourself, what am I being asked to step into? And within it, the opportunity to expand, to stabilize into the unknown, to become the version of you who can hold that reality. Lastly, let's talk about family and old patterns. As the wise ones say, if you think that you're enlightened, spend a week with your family. Let's say you're visiting family and something happens and you begin witnessing yourself fall back into old reactions. Well, the lower octave will just fall back into those old ways of being. But the high octave would actually see the pattern as it arises in the moment. And instead of becoming it, you pause. You feel it fully, but without acting on it. The emotion is allowed to move through the body. No suppression, no repetition, just awareness. The lion is being held, not obeyed. And as you stay present, you recognize it as ancestral, something moving through you. And then awareness brings order. You say to yourself, this isn't mine to continue, and the pattern ends here. Safety returns to the system. And within that, the opportunity to meet it without repeating it, to hold it, to allow it to dissolve through awareness. This is strength, not control, but pure remembrance. To remember yourself while inside of the situation. And I almost want to say simulation, right? Encoded experiences that are designed always in benefit for the soul's intention and growth. To feel everything while not becoming consumed by it. To feel everything while existing as nothing simultaneously. That's what the strength is, and that's what the orb is, right? If we really look at the strength, this is the ego or the selves, and then the orb is, oh no, well, you are actually a spirit incarnated into this ego. So you can recognize that every challenge contains an equivalent seed of opportunity within it for soul growth. And that's something that we're consistently exercising in this realm. It's a way that we can move through this construct where we see nothing as separate from us. It's you in another form, showing you your way back home to return to what you're ready to become. How can you feel everything without becoming lost in anything? That's the strength message. We are going to pull a Gateway of the Light activation message. And I suppose a Cosmos Oracle message, perhaps? Let's see. Holding on to the lion or the ego, right? But remembering that you are the one wearing it. Anunnaki light codes, energetic shift, new information, end of a cycle. So there is definitely an end of a cycle. I'm hearing there's an end with you and the lineage, okay? You have incarnated into your lineage. You were called forth by this lineage to end the cycle of disconnection. Instead, as you move through this construct, things that would usually have you disconnect from yourself, you're actually connecting to yourself now more than ever before. Let's read this. It's funny because I opened it on Ancestral Realm. Oh, races, goddess, Ishtar, powerful figure, similar. Ishtar could be significant. Great change is coming to you, but this can only occur if you're willing to shift your perception. How can you shift your perception in real time while inside of the simulation? There is so much power in the pause, in being present in the pause. No response is sometimes the best response. Sometimes just pausing, navigating different timelines, having precognitive abilities, which we all have, which is let's pause and actually see what the next sequence of events would unfold. If I say yes to this thing, if I say no to this thing, what would be that? And let's anchor that information back into the present moment and then align our actions accordingly. That's what this is. If you're wondering what the best course of action is, the Anunnaki are encouraging you to go with the new, to disrupting old systems. Old ways of being and old ways of doing things must be released if you are to evolve. Change can bring a sense of vulnerability, but will allow you to make a deeper connection to your feelings and gifts and what's important to you. You're standing at a gateway of pure potential that will be ignited as soon as you move through this necessary change. Be open to new information and new processes and new ideas because you're becoming a part of the new energy upon Earth. See, new energy, and when we talk about new earth, that's 5D consciousness. 5D is what is it? 5D is being able to actually blend your most multidimensional abilities into this realm. You're in this world, but navigating it from otherworldly intelligence. I'm hearing a higher intelligence that moves through you as you navigate this construct. You consciously exchange your life force. You're not just merely interacting with the matrix, but instead you're seeing through the illusion of separation. That's what the illusion is. To move in through this world, seeing through the illusion clearly. That's exactly what you're doing. The universe is one single being. One single emanation, difference and only seeming. I will continue to speak this until my last breath. Until it becomes the first once again. So, I am gonna love and leave you right there. I just want to get this message out there. And yes, should we get one cosmic oracle message? Let's see. One card flipped. Let's see what flipped here. Spiral. Spiral talks about a vicious or virtuous cycle. Okay, so it's about ending self-created cycles of suffering, and that's based upon our own perception. Okay, how we choose to perceive an experience will be how we'll be received by the experience. Okay, and how we receive ourselves one inside of an experience. How well can you receive yourself inside, right? An experience. Hence, being compassionate to yourself, being loving to yourself, unconditionally loving, non-judgmental to yourself. I'm hearing observing yourself, seeing what it is that you need. How can you become your own best friend as you move through this system? Understand what your ego needs, what your vessel needs, and nourish that. Supply that to yourself as the infinite source creator that you are. Until next time. If you're not already subscribed to the channel, do consider subscribing because we'd love to have you around. Personal reading details are also down below. Also check out Altar Spirit if you're looking for some high quality AAE grade gemstones. One of the proceeds are donated towards Altar Sanctuaries. And until next time, bye.